on, it looks to be a Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. For those of you who are watching for the first time, yep, we were supposed to go at 7, had a couple of little problems, but no big major issues. We're back online. Looks like we're online on all the platforms. And welcome to Making Mornings Great Again. Welcome, Rise and Shine with Captain Deplorable. As you know, it's a great time to be alive, and it's a wonderful time to be talking with the big, beautiful American people. Welcome to what's going to be a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday regular installment here on Facebook, Long Island Loud Majority Facebook, my personal Facebook, and then the Long Island Loud Majority YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/, Long Island Loud Majority. And then, of course, my Twitter account at Sean_Farish. It's a great time. We've got some good things, some interesting things to talk to you about today. A lot of talk, obviously, about Afghanistan. A lot of talk about what's happening over there and the tragic situation that's unfolding over there, the hostage situation that's unfolding over there, as well as some local stuff. Kathy Hochul stuff. We're rallying in Albany this weekend again. Kathy Hochul's housewarming party. So we'll see what we could do with that on Sunday afternoon, 1 p.m. at the Capitol Steps in Albany. I will be there. Hopefully you guys can get there as well. Good morning to everybody who's just jumping on right now. It's really cool. We're gonna rock for about a half hour to an hour here, and we'll see. I got 3 stories really to talk about. Some really interesting stuff. I mean, I know everyone comes to Twitter and everyone sees the Trump impersonations and sees everything and is, hey, haha, he's funny and everything like that. And I appreciate that too. But I do want to also bring to light some serious problems and some issues that we have going on, obviously, today in society. So to everybody in the chat who's saying hello, good morning. I see Darlene, I see Vinny, I see a lot of people that are coming in on there. Good morning to all you guys, and thanks for jumping on this morning. Had some technical difficulties this morning. That's why I couldn't get on at 7 o'clock. And by technical difficulties, I mean I technically forgot to set my alarm this morning. So that's my fault. And hopefully you don't hold that against me. But we will try and be live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 7 to 8 a.m. And we are going to be live here. This is our new home. Loud Majority's new home here at the America First Media Campus. The America First Media Campus right here in the heart of Long Island, New York, in the belly of the beast, the America First Media Campus. And we are really going to do some really great things in this space. And this room in particular is going to be one of the most powerful and influential rooms in all of Long Island, and everybody here is going to be a part of it. So I'm very happy that everyone seems to be jumping on and checking things out. So let's talk about Afghanistan, because something crazy. It's not crazy, but it's alarming when you hear about Afghanistan. You hear about so many people saying, "Well, the Democrats are just going to get away with it. The Democrats are just going to get away with it. They get away with everything, right? Yeah, Democrat privilege and all that stuff." But listen, Afghanistan is having a very big impact on Sleepy Joe Biden's approval ratings. And I just put this up on Twitter. I just tweeted and I said, Sleepy Joe's approval rating is down 10 points in a week. It's falling faster than Bitcoin after one of Elon Musk's tweets. He comes out there and says Dogecoin, and Bitcoin tanks, and then the market takes a hit. And all of us who are kind of dabbling in crypto are like, why, Elon? Why must you open your mouth? Keep your mouth shut, Elon. And, and then he causes all this turmoil in the crypto market. Well, that's what's happening to Joe Biden's approval ratings, and it's all because of Afghanistan. It's not just because of Afghanistan, but obviously the southern border is a disaster. Fuel costs are a disaster. Inflation's a disaster. The fact that people don't want to work is a disaster. COVID is still a disaster because, would you know it? Masks don't work. Did you know that? Masks don't work. I know I'm going to get flagged and hit and knocked around for saying that. Masks don't work. If masks did work, we wouldn't still be talking about them. Right? Am I right about that? Can someone help me out on that? If masks worked, if social distancing worked, if the plastic barriers worked, if walking around in a spacesuit all day worked, if all that stuff worked, wouldn't 15 days to slow the spread have ended? Wouldn't that have ended after 15 days? And when we talk about 15 days to slow the spread, Just think about this. When you think about 15 days to slow the spread, and I want you to listen to that terminology. 15 days to slow the spread. Not 15 days to eradicate COVID-19. Not 15 days to reach case numbers 0. 15 days to slow the spread. The goal of that initiative was to make sure that the hospitals were not overrun. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. The goal of that initiative was to make sure that the hospitals did not get overrun. And we succeeded. The hospitals did not get overrun. I mean, to an extent, they did. There was a point in time where there were a lot of patients, and there was a much larger traffic than normal. I saw the reports. I know people who are working in the hospitals. I saw the reports that they were posting every single day. I get it. But 15 days to slow the spread got everything under control. The problem is, and remember, it was Trump who put that into motion. But remember, 15 days to slow the spread. They got addicted. They tasted that power. Not Donald Trump, but folks like Fauci. Folks like the Democrats. And I'm going to tie this into a 2020 election story that I have later. It's going to blow your mind. It's going to blow your mind, the 2020 election. We're going to talk about it, and we're going to say some things about the 2020 election that the powers that be may not like. But that's okay. We're going to cite from articles, from facts, okay? It's no problem. We're not going to say anything that's not already on the internet, hasn't been taken down. But I want to bring to light something that happened with regards to the 2020 election. I want to bring that to light. And I want to bring that to light because it was something that was in the works. And I have to, let me just give you a second. It was something that was in the works a while ago. And they wound up, COVID wound up helping the Democrats get their end result with regards to the election. So before we get into anything else, we'll talk about Afghanistan. I have a USA Today article, and obviously USA Today, not somebody who's, or not an outlet anyway, that is, particularly friendly to folks like us. Okay. They're not particularly friendly, but here it is. The headline is, Americans' harsh judgment on Afghanistan cost Biden's approval down to 41%. Now, just the headline alone is obnoxious. Okay. Just the headline alone is obnoxious. Americans' harsh judgment. So it's your fault. It's your fault. Americans' harsh judgment on Afghanistan cost Biden's approval down to 41%. It's your fault, folks. It's not Biden's fault for butchering the entire situation. It's not George W. Bush's fault for going in. It's your fault. It's your harsh judgment. You're costing Joe Biden points on his own. Do you see how the media is covering for this guy? Do you see how the media is covering for yet another Democrat? It's your fault. How does that make you feel? How does that make you feel? You like that? You like that the media is doing that to you? You happy about it? If you're not happy about it, then we need to start making some noise about it. It's your fault. It's not Biden's fault. It's your fault, apparently. After 2 decades of combat, this is reading from the article. After 2 decades of combat, Americans by more than 2-1 say the war in Afghanistan, launched in the wake of the 9/11 attacks, was not worth it. In a new USA Today Suffolk University poll, 3 out of 4 predict the Taliban-led country will once again become a haven for terrorists targeting the United States. For President Joe Biden, the cost of the war's chaotic end has been steep. His overall job approval rating now stands at 41% who approve versus 55% who disapprove. A big drop in the closely watched barometer of political health. Until last week, national polls generally showed his approval rating above 50%. Now, while he has held the backing of 87% of Democrats, and now, mind you, let's call a quick timeout. Timeout offense, 30 seconds. 87% approval from Democrats. And when you go back to Donald Trump and what his approval ratings in the Republican Party was always, for the most part, above 90%. 95%, 97%, 98% among Republicans. Biden has now lost, he's dropped to 87% of Democrats. 32% of independents believe he's doing a good job. That means there are 68% of independents out there that cannot confidently say that their president is doing a good job. That's a problem if you're a Democrat. That's a problem if you're in the establishment. That is a problem if you were a member of the Biden administration. Now, where do I think Afghanistan is going to lead? And a lot of people have been saying it, and a lot of people have been asking when it's going to happen. Where is Afghanistan going to lead? What is going to happen with Afghanistan? It's going to lead, I believe, to the 25th Amendment. They're going to come out. They're going to try and create sympathy for the guy. They're going to sit out there. They're going to tell it, oh, well, listen, okay? He's losing his mind. Cut him some slack. He's losing his mind. We knew he was losing his mind. We knew the guy wasn't all. When he sat on a lifeguard stand, when he sat in a press conference, on the campaign trail, told everybody that he had hairy legs that turned blonde in the sun. Do you think we maybe thought maybe he was losing it just a little bit? I got hairy legs. I turned blonde in the sun. Yeah. Do you think maybe we knew? Do you think maybe we had a feeling, an inkling that this guy might have been losing his mind just a little bit? Maybe when he was telling people on the campaign trail, "Yo, you don't like me, you could vote for the other Biden." Who is the other Biden that was running? Hunter? No, we haven't seen him. Jill? God, no. Let's hope not. Vote for the other Biden. When he was on the campaign trail telling people he was in the Senate over 180 years ago. Sorry, people go, he's joking. Haha, that's funny. He's not joking. He keeps saying it. He's not joking. The guy has no idea where he is. Hey, what do you think about, I got ice cream, chocolate chip. But the 25th Amendment is going to be introduced, I think, soon. I don't know how soon, but I think soon. That they're going to introduce the 25th Amendment, and they're going to get rid of him. They're going to discard him, but they're going to kind of try and do it like honorable discharge, right? Oh, he tried. He just, he's not mentally fit. And then we get Kamala. And that was the goal the whole time, wasn't it? Everybody who I talked to before the 2020 election knew that if you were voting for Joe Biden, you were inevitably voting for President Kamala Harris. Everybody knew that. That was the goal. The problem is, all you hear about Democrats, we have to trust the democratic process. We got to trust the democratic process. We must have faith in democracy. We cannot undermine our democracy. We cannot undermine. The Democrats undermined their democracy the entire process through their primaries. The vice president, who was a shoo-in to wind up taking over for Joe Biden, that's going to happen sooner rather than later, didn't even make it into the Iowa caucus. The Iowa caucus in and of itself, they still haven't found out who won that thing. Bernie Sanders should have been the nominee, but all the prominent moderates stayed in the race through Super Tuesday. They dropped out of the race before Super Tuesday, so the vote consolidated behind Sleepy Joe. And now, despite the fact that Kamala Harris, who the establishment was pushing, she's a woman of color. She's a woman of color. But first of all, the phrase, let me just, another timeout offense, second charge timeout, 30 seconds. The phrase woman of color or person of color, why are we okay with that phrase? Because if I remember when they actually taught us about what racism really was, not what CRT tells you racism is, that the term colored person was used during the era of Jim Crow, in the era of segregation, the water fountains, white water fountain, colored water fountain. Why now are we doing that again? Have we not learned? Have we looked at cancel culture now where they take people like the Aunt Jemima logo and Uncle Ben's and who else was out there that got ripped off the label there? Was it not Betty Crocker? Mrs. Butterworth's and Land O'Lakes. Cancel culture. You go through the supermarkets now, thanks to cancel culture, and all you see are white faces on the packages. White everywhere. They've whitewashed society. You're a kid, you're 5 years old, you're 6 years old, you're 7 years old, you're starting to become alert, you're looking around. Mom, Dad, why are there all these white faces? Now, kids aren't asking that question because kids don't see color, but they're seeing it. There's no black faces on packages anymore. There's no diversity in the supermarkets anymore. They've taken the people of color off of the packages. I don't like that term, people of color. I think it's a bad term. And I think it's a racist term. And obviously the racists are the ones who are using that. But when you look at Kamala, she couldn't even get through the Iowa caucus. And now she's very close to being the president of the United States. So who's undermining democracy? They shoved Kamala Harris down your throat. They took Joe Biden, they propped him up as the Trojan horse. They hit her right behind it. He's going to fall, and we're going to wind up with Kamala Harris as the president of the United States. And God help us when that does happen. God help us, because that is going to be a nightmare. We have got to get to 2022, and we have got to put a lot of pressure on these Democrats to start acting more electable, even if that just stalls their progress up until now. Even if that just stalls their progress up until we go into the 2022 midterms, that's a win. But we got to get past the next 5-6 months. We've got to pull these Democrats back to the center. If you live in a congressional district where your representative is a Democrat, like mine, oh, I'm sorry, I have Andrew Garbarino, but he might as well be a Democrat. Call and bombard their I'm sorry. I'm sorry if anything funny happened. The internet was acting up. I apologize, but we are hopefully back up and running. You guys hear me? Is the chat still going? Okay, I think I'm back though. Folks, am I back online? If you guys can just be kind enough to put in the chat here whether or not whether or not you hear me and see me. Okay, we're back online. Sorry about that, folks. We had a little issue. But Kamala Harris forced down our throats. Forced down our throats. And then obviously you get rid of Kamala, you get Nancy Pelosi. And then if you get rid of Nancy Pelosi, you get Pat Leahy. He's the other senator in Vermont out in the Senate. So you don't want to, listen, the whole impeachment thing is crazy. But Afghanistan is a nightmare. Afghanistan is a nightmare. Republicans are calling for impeachment. Republicans are calling for investigations. You know where that's going to wind up going, because we have no majority. But this is a good thing for us. I mean, it's not a good thing for the United States, but from a political standpoint, if you're just a straight up looking at this as a straight up political operative, you can look and see that this is a wake up call, not just for Republicans, not just for Democrats, but the independents. Their eyes are open. 32% of independents believe Joe Biden's doing a good job. 32%. I've never seen the left this disjointed with issues like critical race theory, where it's either real, it's not real, or it's only taught in colleges. So Afghanistan has become a nightmare. It's become a hostage situation. It's become a disaster. And I would say that this is probably the biggest blow to Biden's president. And we're only 7 months in, but this is going to be the biggest blow. This is going to be what forces him out. They're going to kick him to the curb. They're going to kick him to the curb through the 25th Amendment. And I think that's what we are essentially just waiting to watch happen. It's unfortunately going to be inevitable, and we're going to be stuck with Kamala Harris. There is no way this guy's getting through the next 3 years. We have to get to 2022. We've got to dominate those midterms, and we will. We're going to dominate those midterms. And I don't want to, please, the last thing I want to see are these folks. Please don't do this, or else what happened in Georgia is going to happen nationally. Please don't do this. Yes, I agree with you. Listen to me, please. Everybody just calm down and listen to what I'm going to tell you. I am number one. First and foremost, I am the biggest election integrity advocate that you will find. I believe it's very easy to have safe and secure elections. All you need is voter ID. I believe it's very easy. But please don't do this. Don't do this. How are we going to win in 2022 if the elections keep getting stolen? Stop it. Stop it. Yes, there are questions about voter integrity. Yes, there are questions about election integrity. I'm not debating that there are questions or that there aren't questions, but please do not tell other people if the only means of winning is to vote. Don't tell people not to vote. Please. And if you don't want to vote, that's fine. But realize that if you don't vote, you can't help. If you do vote and you're voting in a rigged system, well, at least you tried. And that's actually been the message that I've been sending, and a lot of people have been sending to these boards. Well, then the school boards are coming back. Well, the state's going to come out with a mandate, which they can't do, but the state's going to come out with a mandate. At least, why don't you do this? At least if you're the Board of Education in some of these districts, like last night, Connecticut. By the way, Connecticut last night was on fire. We got through the whole meeting, which is good. But Connecticut last night was incredible. And the first speaker last night was a student, and she brought it down. She absolutely crushed it last night. And there were several students. A 7-year-old came up and spoke about masks. Unbelievable job done by the entire community of Connecticut last night, young and old, matching shirts. They had the lawn signs in there. They had paperwork, letters, petitions, everything you can imagine. Connecticut was so prepared. That is a community right there that is ready to go to battle over these issues in the schools. And they're not done with just masks. Believe me, I spoke to a bunch of them. They're not done with masks. That's the new normal. And you need to pack your school board meetings. It's only once a month, sometimes twice a month. You need to get into those school board meetings. Don't cause a scene. Don't cause a ruckus. Robert's Rules of Order. It's very important to let the meetings happen as they happen. It's very important to let the meetings happen as they happen. Even when somebody comes up there, these barking seals, oh yeah, masks work. Oh, masks work. Yeah, Dr. Fauci. You know, one of the parents last night who was pro-mask, anti-choice, anti-freedom, anti-liberty, one of the anti-liberty parents, you know, we have Moms for Liberty. They're a great group. We have Moms Against Liberty who keep coming down to these board meetings. So one of the Moms Against Liberty came up and she was reading a speech about, oh, you know, this is a public school. And so what is a public decision? Public decisions, public this, public that. It's not a private school. It's not a personal school. So we need to do what's good for the all of the public. And I'm sitting there going, you know, I've heard this speech before. Now I go to a lot of board meetings. It was the exact same speech as somebody read in Wantagh. So someone's sharing notes and they're stealing from each other. I'll tell you right now, Connecticut, though, the community is excellent. unbelievable group of fighters out there, and I think you're going to get some results. I really do. The board had seemed like it had made up its mind, and then the room kind of said, I don't know if you should do that. They took a 5-minute break, came back, said, we haven't reached a decision. Hey, I don't know. I have a feeling a lot of these boards are going to punt and hide behind the state, and I think that's shameful if they do. But if they do that, then we will correct that behavior through the political or through the electoral process. But back to the midterms in 22, please, 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 please. I know there's questions about voter integrity. I know there's questions about who's counting the votes. I know there's questions about the mail. I know there's questions. Everyone has questions about the machines. But please, please, please understand that telling people not to vote because it doesn't matter anyway can't possibly help you. It can't possibly. You know what I say? We think the system's rigged. Why don't we override the rigged system and break it? The same way conservative content goes viral on social media, we just hammer the retweet button. We hammer the share button. We hammer the like button. We send it to our friends. We post it in places like Rumble. We put it up everywhere. We put it up. We have 3, 4, 5 accounts. You understand what I'm saying? Even if you think the system is rigged, let's try and break the system. Let's try and overwhelm the system. Let's bring out more votes than anybody's ever brought out before in a midterm, so even if they cheat, they still can't catch us. You understand by telling people not to vote how harmful that is? You have questions about your elections? I'm cool with it. I got questions too. I want to know how 147,000 ballots came in Wisconsin at 6:30 in the morning, and we had no idea where they came from, and they came in 97% for one candidate. I want to know. I want to know more than anybody else wants to know, but please don't tell people not to vote. If I see anybody else in New York going, well, in 22, the governor's race is already rigged, so what's the point of voting for Zeldin? The point of voting is to vote, to voice your opinion, to cast your vote, to do your civic duty. Because if Lee Zeldin doesn't win and you didn't vote, you are part of the part of the problem. Okay. Now, that's not to say I don't love everybody. I do. It's not to say I don't love everybody's passion. I do. I do. But you still have to vote. And what we're going to do over the course of the next 18 months leading up to the election, when we go out there and we hit the campaign trail for guys like Dominic Thorne. And by the way, there are folks from Nassau County who know who Dominic Thorne is because he comes to all these events and he talks to everybody. Guy works so hard. There are people out in Eastern Long Island who know who Vicky Palladino is because she's everywhere. She's running for District 19 City Council, by the way. Dominic Thorne, county legislator. Folks in the Patchogue area, it's important to take over these local bodies. If we can keep majorities in local legislatures, we can make progress with regards to restoring voter integrity. So the key is voting. And yes, I love to rally, obviously. And rallies are important. Why are rallies important? Because people come out, they meet one another, they form that network, they form that bond. Snapshots and sound bites, we can put pressure. Yeah, I understand. We're going to Albany on the 29th. But she's not going to be there. Doesn't matter. We're going to be there. We don't need her. It's her housewarming party, though. So, hey. But this event in Albany on the 29th is going to be absolutely huge. Absolutely huge, okay? When you look at it, it's going to be huge. What do you think about it? So when you look at Kathy Hochul, she's a terrible person. And here's Cuomo. You want to hear Cuomo? I was doing Cuomo yesterday on TikTok. When you look at Kathy Hochul, okay, she's taking the kids. She's going to put the diapers all over their faces. She is taking over right where I left off. Does anybody want my dog? The dog has been biting me, and I had to get rid of it because it was biting my ankles. If nobody takes the dog, I'm going to put it in a nursing home and put him on a ventilator. That's Cuomo. My Cuomo's getting better, isn't it? Don't you think my Cuomo's getting better? Don't you think my Cuomo's getting a little better? I'll put the dog on a ventilator. What we did in New York, we had a floating hospital ship. We did not use it. Instead, what we did was we sent the patients back into the nursing homes and we attempted to wipe out our elderly population. I'm sorry, but I'm trying to learn Cuomo. Anyway, speaking of the elderly, too, our September 5th rally, we are going to be collecting donations for Voices for Seniors. Obviously, it's a fantastic organization out here on Long Island that is raising awareness and being the advocate, just like how we're the advocate for children in schools. Tracy and everybody who runs Voices for Seniors out there, they're the advocates for the elderly, who is also a group that folks don't really fight for. And so we have to, we talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, all this curriculum stuff, and about speaking about marginalized voices or voices that we don't hear a lot from. The kids are a marginalized voice, the elderly are a marginalized voice. So we are going to be collecting for Voices for Seniors on September 5th. And we'll get more information about that rally as we get closer. Right now, I'm focused on Albany on the 29th. So we're going to get to Albany on the 29th. I'm going up the night before, but Albany, Capitol Steps, 1 p.m. At the Capitol building in Albany. It's going to be a really big event. We're seeing a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of responses, clicking onto the Facebook event. So go ahead, if you're going, go ahead and click that. Give us an idea what's going on. The group that put this whole thing together up in Albany, we worked with on the 28th of June. These are fantastic people. They're driven. They're awesome people. I can't wait to get back up there and rally with them again. Upstate New York needs to hear from us. We also need to hear from them. We need to get together, join together, band together, get on the same page for 2022. How's that sound? All right. So let's get out there to Albany on the 29th. That'll be a fun one. Okay. Now I want to get to a 2020 election story, and I also have the means right now. I'm going to try something today. I've got my old phone here. I'm going to try and do a means of taking calls or something if you can. But we will be. I want to talk about a 2020 election story. This is going to blow your mind. This is going to blow your mind. Okay. So we obviously know that because of the China virus. Okay, the China virus. We know that because of the virus that came from China. The virus that came from China, what we're looking at was the mail-in ballots. So it led us to this point where there's now mass mail-in ballots. But I want to let you know what was going on. This is a story. Where is it here? Where'd it go? Oh, there we go. This is a story from November 11th, 2019. November 11th, 2019. Okay, pay attention to that date. November 11th, 2019. What was going on November 11th, 2019? Well, we hadn't had COVID yet. China knew what was going on with COVID. That was happening over there. Okay. But in November of 2019, we weren't talking about COVID. We were getting ready to go have Thanksgiving like normal people. We weren't talking about the China virus on November 11th, 2019. So what was happening? You ready for this? It's a headline from The Hill. Democrats challenge election laws in battleground states. Now, you ready for these states that he challenged? So there's a gentleman by the name of Mark Elias. And I really want to bring this to light. And gentleman is a kind word. But a gentleman by the name of Mark Elias. Does anybody, I'm looking at the chat now, does anybody know who Mark Elias is or who Perkins Coie is or anything like that? Anybody have any ideas on who these people are? Mark Elias, Perkins Coie. If you guys don't know, I urge you to listen to some Dan Bongino, listen to Spygate and all the things that he did about the spying situation. Mark Elias is a Democrat lawyer, works for the law firm Perkins Coie, who's connected heavily to the Clintons. Perkins Coie hired Fusion GPS back in the 2015-16 election cycle, and they got the dossier on Donald Trump. Tracy Anciano says Wilcow. Yeah, Wilcow's been talking about this forever, and that's the only reason why I know who Mark Elias is, him and Dan Bongino. Mark Elias, so he's a Democrat election lawyer. He's a Democrat election lawyer. Okay? Mark Elias, here's the Hill, the article. A year before the 2020 presidential election, Democratic groups are filing lawsuits in new and emerging battleground states, challenging election laws and procedures they say disproportionately affect young and minority voters. Though these groups have filed 7 lawsuits in recent weeks, challenging election laws in 5 states, and more suits are coming, said Mark Elias, the Democratic election law expert whose firm is overseeing the litigation. Now, listen to the states that he was suing in. In Georgia, we had a lot of problems in Georgia, didn't we? Texas, which they've been trying to hit for years, and Arizona. Oh, Arizona. Wow, it's like a sip of coffee for Arizona. Okay. In Georgia, Texas, and Arizona, coalitions of Democratic groups are challenging state laws that will list Republican candidates first in any given race. Social science research found that a candidate listed first on a ballot can benefit by as much as 2.5 percentage points to what researchers call the primacy effect. Georgia's governor's race and 2 congressional races were decided by 1 percentage point or less. In Texas, Representative Will Hurd won the re-election by half a percentage point. State Democratic parties have teamed up with the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, DCCC, and the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee, DSCC, in Texas and North Carolina. Remember, North Carolina took forever to count, to challenge new laws related to early voting. In Texas, the Republican-controlled legislature passed a ban on mobile early voting stations, which some counties have used to get hard-to-reach populations to the polls. Here's North Carolina. Democrats sued to reinstate a final day of early voting on the Saturday before an election, historically the most popular day for early voting. That suit may be moot, though. Governor Roy Cooper signed legislation last week bringing back the final Saturday voting, so they brought it back anyway. The largest Democratic super PAC, Priorities USA, is challenging a Michigan law. So now we've heard about Arizona. We've heard about North Carolina. We've heard about Michigan. We've heard about Georgia. Does this sound interesting to you? Arizona, Michigan, Georgia, right? I wonder, North Carolina. These are all the states that took a week and a half, 2 weeks to count. Isn't that interesting? A Michigan law that allows election administrators to throw out absentee ballots if the signature on the ballot does not match a signature on file. That's called signature verification, folks. They're challenging a law to get rid of. This was before COVID. This was before mass mail-in ballots were widely adopted. They were already trying to sue to expand the absentee program. Do you understand what I am telling you right now? Okay? This was going on before COVID, folks. This was going on before there was a China virus. They were trying to expand the absentee ballot program. They were trying to throw out signature verification. They were in 7, I think it was 7 lawsuits of 5 states. We just named them. Michigan. A couple of them we named. Georgia. Right? North Carolina. Arizona. Isn't that interesting? I'm going to go back to that article because I want you to understand this. Mark Elias guy is a mess. Okay? So here they are in Michigan. Okay. And in Georgia, Priorities USA has joined the DCCC, the DSCC, and the State Democratic Party in asking judges to require counties to tell voters when their signatures do not match and their ballots are rejected. Now, in Georgia, that didn't even happen. They just scanned away. They pulled them out from under tables. Here's a quote. If you look at the nature of the cases we've been involved in the past, the issues we are challenging can impact anyone, said Anissa McMillan, who directs voting rights programs at Priorities USA. Our focus simply remains just ensuring all Americans who are eligible to vote, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, have the opportunity to do so. Republicans defending the laws their legislators wrote say their Democratic lawsuits will make elections less secure. The Michigan lawsuit, quote, is yet another example of liberals trying to strip away election security measures for their own benefit, said Laura Cox, who heads the Michigan Republican Party. If it were successful, it could open the door to massive voter fraud in our state and call the legitimacy of Michigan's absentee ballots into question. Well, what the hell happened after COVID? Democrats counter that absentee ballot fraud is so rare that it almost never takes place, and that signature matching laws are far more likely to exclude legitimacy legitimately cast votes. They're saying no. They're saying no. Fraud doesn't happen with it with the absentee program. We have to expand it. We have to get rid of signature verification. So even if there is fraud, we don't want to detect it. Signature matching has very little, if any, science behind it. This is a quote, and none when you're talking about lay people matching signatures at the end of a long day administering elections. Elias said in an interview. At some point as a country, we are going to have to confront the fact that we are throwing away tens of thousands of lawful votes in a futile effort to find one or two fraudulent votes. In Georgia alone, more than 8,000 absentee ballots were thrown out in 2018 because signatures did not match. About 3% of the overall number of absentee ballots cast that year. They were trying to do this from the very beginning. Elias heads Perkins Coie's political law group, where he counts most Democratic senators, dozens of members of Congress, most of the party's major committees, and many of its largest super PACs among his clients. That allows the firm to group clients together when mounting challenges to different state election laws. This guy has been out. He was in these swing states, and they were the swing states that wound up being a problem. Wisconsin was mentioned in this article. Let me go up here. I saw somebody mention what's here. We go. The new suits come after Elias and Democratic law groups led successful challenges to district boundary lines in Pennsylvania, Virginia, North Carolina, and to other election laws in Wisconsin, Missouri, Iowa, and Florida. This was already happening way in advance. COVID happened, and all of a sudden he didn't have to push so hard. COVID happened, and all of a sudden they didn't have to sue in all these states anymore. But do you see, based off of what we're reading, and by the way, Mark Elias, because the Durham report is coming out soon, article in Breitbart a couple days ago, I posted it. Democrat election lawyer Mark Elias has left Perkins Coie. He's running his own firm now, apparently. But he's no longer in Perkins Coie. And let me just give you one more on Mark Elias. Mark Elias, this is Claudia Tenney, upstate New York. I met her at CPAC. She's awesome. Her race took like 9 years to count. No, not really 9 years. I'm being funny, but her race took a very long time to count. She wound up winning by about 800 votes. Upstate New York. She's a Republican. She's awesome. She's great. Her opponent conceded, and Mark Elias sued. Even after the opponent conceded to Claudia Tenney, he sued. And he sued, Mark Elias did, contesting the results of an election, federal implications too, because Claudia Tenney is a federal congresswoman. He sued, challenging the results of the elections and saying that the voting machines switched votes. The voting machines switched votes. I thought we weren't allowed to say that. I thought that was a no-no. Not if you're Mark Elias. Not if you're a Democrat. Not if you're Elizabeth Warren in 2018 or Amy Klobuchar. You're allowed to talk about voting machines. You're allowed to talk about the election security if it's 2016 and you're talking about Russia. But if it's 2020, you can't say that if you're a conservative. You can do it if you're a Democrat. You can do it if your name's Mark Elias. You can say the voting machines flip votes if you're Mark Elias. But that's the nerve of these people. Don't you dare question the election. Don't you dare say that the voting machine switched votes. Unless you're a Democrat election lawyer trying to steal an election, then you can do whatever the hell you want. I wanted to make you aware of that. Okay. Last 15 minutes coming on. What I will do, I'll tell you right now, tonight's board meetings. I know Three Village is meeting tonight. I know Longwood. I'm sorry, not Longwood. That's tomorrow. Let me see. I got to go back to that post. I grabbed the wrong information. Tomorrow, the 26th, I have on our calendar Longwood, North Babylon, and Comswag. I'm not sure if there's any more that are out there, but if there are, feel free to let me know where those districts are and who's having meetings tomorrow. But I'm going to take a look. I'm taking a look now at some of the board meetings tonight, and I'm going to get you the schedule in just a moment. Looking at that. In the meantime, I do have the ability. I tried to rig this up last night, and I think I got it working pretty well. The ability to take phone calls here. So the number, if you want to dial in at any time, is 631-309-3979. It's 631-309-3979 because we're going to open it up to local comments now. Tonight, 8/25, August 25th, it looks like. Now, this may not be an updated list. I know a lot of things like Hicksville is on this list, but they met last night. But I see Bayshore, Three Village, Eastport South Manor, Great Neck, East Meadow, Farmingdale, East Rockaway. Bayshore seems to be listed twice. I know Three Villages meeting tonight. So there's a lot of meetings tonight. If your district is not meeting and you want to go support other residents or get a finger on the pulse of what's going on in school districts around Long Island, you can do that. Just go to the meeting. If you're not a resident, you don't have to speak. You can sit there and support, but just to get a feel for what's going on. And then let me know what you saw. Anything alarming, anything like that, because I'll tell you last night, the conduct of some of the members of the Connecticut School District, of the Connecticut School Board, namely the president of the school board, was at times very scary. At times very scary. And, it's a shame that folks are sitting on that board, some of them with predispositions and prejudice, because it was, it could have been a lot better. It could have been a lot better. It could have been handled better. But with all due respect, with all things considered, last night's meeting in Connecticut went smoother than most. A lot of these rooms are turning. I mean, these are not just frustrated parents. I say this all the time. These are not just frustrated parents that their kids aren't starting on their sports team. These are angry, irate parents that their kids are being preyed on in public school. And that's what's going on. So tonight, a lot of board meetings. If your district isn't meeting, go to the closest district that you have. If you got nothing else to do, and just kind of support, meet people, talk to people. Say, hey, I'm from Connecticut, but I'm over here at Three Village tonight, or I'm at Sagem tonight, or I'm at whatever tonight. And hey, I want to see what's going on in your district. Get to meet them, share strategies. Don't cause a scene, but share strategies. 631-309-3979 if you want to give a call. It's up to you. Don't need it, but if you have anything to say or you want to talk about what board meetings or whatnot, if I missed one, give me a call right now, 631-309-3979. You could do that, and we are set up to receive, so that's pretty good. But I will say this too. Districts are punting at this point in time. They're getting ready for the mandates with regards to masking. And it's disgusting. It's horrible. Districts are punting. They're hiding behind the state. Unfortunately, it looks like my district is getting ready to punt. It's only second down, but they're punting. It's only second down, but they're punting. It's very interesting. I don't understand it. I can't seem to figure it out. If you're in a lot of these boards, well, we're with you. We stand with the community. And then you need to make it evident. Write a letter to Albany, which, oh my gosh, that's one thing that the board president last night did. Took her name off the letter. Write a letter to Albany if you're on the board. If you're a member of a school board and you're watching this, to get intel on what I'm doing. All I'm doing is telling people to fight for their kids, right? If you're a member of a school board and your board has not written a letter, but you know that the majority of your board wants masks to be optional. This is not about masks or no masks. This is about choice or no choice, right? This is about freedom or no freedom. This is, you have these kids locked in the jaws of tyranny, and we're just like, fine, chew them up, toss them around like rag dolls. No, absolutely not. You see, once you start letting them get away with what they're doing to kids, they'll just do whatever the hell they want after that. It's a precedent moment, folks. It's a precedent moment. And if you're on a school board and you know your board stands with the community, and you know your board stands for choice, and you know your board stands for liberty, and you know your board wants to give parents the option to do with their child as they see fit within the boundaries of the law, not the mandate, the law, then you get your board to write a letter and say, it is our intent to make masks optional. At least take the stand. At least be the leader. At least be the pioneer. Be leaders, not followers. Be lions, not sheep. The problem is some of these boards, they lack motivation. Some of these boards, they lack the passion, the desire. And that's where we come in. That's where we come in. That's where we come in community to community, but that's where we come in as the movement. That's where the loud majority comes in. Do you understand what I'm telling you? That's where the loud majority comes in. You got a problem in that district? You want to win school board elections? The time to think about that is not April. The time to think about that is now. Every room that I go to, every meeting that I sit down in, there is a community of people in that room, in those rooms. You're telling me we can't find 5 people in those rooms that wouldn't do a better job than some of the people on these boards of education? You're telling me that that there are not candidates, future trustees of the Board of Education sitting in each and every meeting? Folks, if you're on a school board and you're watching this right now, you have to understand that the more and more you continue to go against the grain of your community, the more challengers, the more criticism, but the more challengers, the more the bigger the jeopardy you're putting on your seat. And if you continue to mess around, you continue to take advantage of these children, you continue to just cater to Albany instead of catering to your community, the longer that continues, if that does continue, you will lose your seat on the board. Whether you're pushing diversity, equity, and inclusion framework, which, please, folks, just read it. You don't want this taught to your children. Diversity is great as a concept. Equity is great as a concept. It's impossible, but it's great. The only time you see equity is in a socialist country where everybody is equal on the same level outcomes in poverty. We don't want equity. We want equality. Equality means everyone gets the same opportunity. Equity means everyone gets the same outcome, which is impossible to do. Diversity sounds great. Equity sounds great. Inclusion sounds great. And to folks with special ed children, this inclusion that they're talking about in the diversity, that's not the same thing as an inclusion class. I urge you to read it. Punch into Google NYSED Diversity April 12th. That's all you need to do. 631-309-3979. We're going to get 5 minutes left. If anyone's got a call, 5 minutes left. 631-309-3979. 5 minutes to go until we're going to cut this thing short. But folks, if your district is punting, if your district is out there saying that the state is going to dictate policy without even attempting to take a stand, without even attempting to write the letter and say, it is our intent to make mask wearing optional. Wow, the nerve. It is our intent, right, to let masks be optional. We are getting a phone call here. All right, let me see. I'm going to bring this in and see if this works. Okay. Oh, it looks like that didn't continue to ring. All right. Well, whoever that was who was trying to call in, it didn't go through. So one more time, 631-309-3979, 631-309-3979. I don't know what happened there. This is a new system, so with the phone, but it was ringing. I was getting ready to pick up. But if your district is punting, look, one thing you should be doing also, every district should be requesting homeschooling packets from the school. Put these people on notice, folks. Barack Obama, 700 people, Martha's Vineyard. Nobody wore a mask. Everybody was dancing. You see these politicians like Gavin Newsom and Andrew Cuomo and Nancy Pelosi and John Kerry and the Texas Democrats. They're all on planes. They're all out in public. They're not wearing masks. Rules are for thee, not for me. Rules are for thee, not for me. It's a shame. It really is. But this is what's going on. 631-309-3979. 631-309-3979 if you have any questions. You want to throw input. We'll take a call or two before we cut out for the day. But if your district is punting, if your district is passing the buck, let them know that if they pass on this, they're passing on re-election. The superintendent is not an elected position, but the school board is. And the school board will have oversight over stuff like that. It's why Smithtown was such a success. Okay? And as communities, we need to come and fight and band together. As communities, we need to support each other. And as communities, we need to keep fighting. Even if tomorrow they say masks are gone, it's not over. It's not over. We still have critical race theory that we have to fight, which is being pushed into the curriculum via means of the diversity, equity, and inclusion framework. We've still got issues with who can use what bathroom in what schools. We've got issues with the sports, with who's allowed to compete in whatever sports and genders and whatnot. You've got Common Core if we're still dealing with issues like that. And when you see people come out and smear my name and smear the name of my friends and others who were involved in our movement and whatnot, well, I always say it. If you're a Yankee, baseball reference, but if you're a Yankee and you go to Fenway Park and you're getting booed, it probably means you're a really good baseball player. If you're a Yankee, we are getting a call here. So let's see who this is. All right, we're getting you hear me? I got you on the line here. What's going on?
I hear you. I hear you. A question.
Go ahead.
Is it possible, these are just thoughts, why don't we all do a rally at Eisenhower Park, like on a Saturday or a Sunday, where we know we can get people there?
A rally,
Is it possible?
and a rally concerning what would you want to do a rally on? I'm open
The
to
masks,
suggest.
to take the masks off the kids.
Yep. So this weekend there's two rallies happening. From what I understand, we have one going on in Albany for Unmask the Kids, August. I'm sorry, it's on the 29th of August. And there's also something going on in Massapequa. I believe one of the Moms for Liberty is doing some work there too. So rallies to Unmask the Kids are great. But we also the battle is going to be won in these rooms. The battle is going to be won in these school board rooms. And I'm into rallies. I love rallying. It's what we do. We love it, right? And I'm always open to those suggestions. We've got to take the fight that we do on the streets into those meetings, figuratively, right, to pressure them. But always open to
Question.
suggestions, and that's great.
Question.
Good.
Elmont School Board is only doing virtual meetings. How do we, you know, organize into a virtual meeting is a little difficult.
Yeah, that's a tough one to do. I mean, you're just gonna have to get up on those Zoom calls and then obviously send emails and phone calls and keep calling the
Yeah.
district. And I would say if you're in a district that's only virtual with the board meetings, go ahead and get everybody in your district. Start requesting homeschooling packets. You're not going to pull your kids out. Maybe you will. Maybe you won't. But if you request those
Yeah.
packets, you're going to scare the crap out of those districts. So, thanks for
I'm interested in
What's that?
the Massapequa meeting, the Massapequa thing. Do you have more information on that?
All I know about Massapequa is that they have decided to go mask optional, and I'm not sure how they're going to
No, I
react.
mean, you said they were going to organize something in
Oh,
Massapequa. That's what I was referring to.
Massapequa, there's a march. I have to get more information on that, and I'll have someone send that to me. I do have the Facebook link. I'll post it up later. But we have that.
Okay.
We've got the big one going up in Albany. This is Albany's biggest event that they're probably going to have in a couple years. So, we're excited.
Okay.
But the more action that we can take, the more noise we can make.
Yeah.
The more we're likely to be heard, and it's excellent. So, thank you for
Okay.
calling. What school district are you in? You're in Elmont.
16, yes.
All right, awesome.
It's my grandkids, and also the Belmore Merrick School District. I have grandkids in both schools,
Okay.
and I've been very involved in writing letters and getting in touch with lawyers. It's just been crazy, and my daughter is willing to give up her teaching career. She's in Queens.
Okay, all
for
right, with the
numerous
vaccine
reasons.
mandates.
So
Okay. Well,
everything.
listen, anything that
Okay.
anything that you see that's working, give me, get back in contact with us, and we'll share that with the rest of the community. This way we could all fight this battle together. All right. Thank you so much for the call, and we'll talk
Thank
to you next
you.
time. Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Later. Yeah, so the phone worked, I guess. Did everybody hear that? I hope everybody heard that. I guess that worked. This board that we're running with is sick. So obviously everything's working out pretty damn good, and we've reached an hour. That went by like this, guys. So keep pushing hard, keep fighting hard, and let's stay loud, everybody. We're doing a great thing. I mean, I saw some awesome stuff from Connecticut yesterday. West Babylon came out in big numbers last week. Lindenhurst, we had some really awesome, masks are optional in Lindenhurst right now, despite what the governor said, and everything. Keep fighting, keep rising up, keep resisting, keep pushing harder than we've ever pushed before. Okay. Keep pushing hard. Okay. Because you never know. And this was supposed to take place between 7 and 8, but I had technical difficulties. And the technical difficulties that I had was I fell asleep before setting my alarm last night. I apologize. But I'll be back on Friday, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. right back here. Coffee maker and everything is really great. And we'll have this uploaded. I'm going to try and upload this as a video. I'm going to try and upload it also as audio. I got some time. So we're rocking and rolling. A big shout out to the America First Media Campus. This is a great place. We love it. Our new home. Everything seems to be working well. We only had one issue, and it wasn't any of this. It was just stupidity with the internet. Whatever. My computer was being weird. It's a demon. But at least it didn't get rained on like it did in one live stream. So, but that was the live stream that started something special. That was the Smithtown live stream. So, folks, excellent job. Thank you so much for being a part of it. We'll be back. I'll be back on Friday morning, 7 o'clock, 7 to 8. This way, once it gets uploaded, it'll be up there the whole day. You can watch it at your leisure. I'm going to upload it as audio. I'm going to upload it as video, and we're going to be rocking and rolling. Everybody, also, what I'm also going to start doing is after every show, I'm going to email all of the articles that I cited through the show in a newsletter as well. So it'll just say, catch the stream here. There'll be a link, and then there'll also be articles that are listed in the newsletter, and I'm going to get to work right now. Thank you guys for being a part of it. First one was a pretty good hit. Everybody seemed to be a lot of interaction, and we even took a phone call, and it worked out great. Thanks, guys. Remember, stay loud and get to those meetings, and let me know what goes on and where you guys need the most help. Thanks a lot, and I'll talk to you later.